my next tutorial, and today we're going to be doing something different that I never thought I would be doing, and if you're not paying attention to the screen, then this is going to be a surprise to you. We're going to be making an Uno reverse card. I know, big shocker, there it is. Why? Well, one of my students was making one the other day and he was having trouble with this part right here, so I thought, let me break this down and have him create his own. And apparently these are used to, I guess, return whatever insult was given to you with this card. So good job with the great use of technology here. So this is my previous attempt, and it was okay, but I think I can do better. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make that weird looking arrow thing, and let's get started. Now, the first thing I want you to do is to, can we move this back over here? Yeah, I'm just gonna move it there. Anyways, I want you to focus on this, but I'm gonna be using a different image. That one right there. So let's see if we can zoom in here, because I want you to understand something. Nowhere in Tinkercad is there a shape that looks like this. So what I do, and what I would like you to do, is to imagine the different parts that make this right here. So obviously this is a triangle, so let's go ahead and start with the triangle right there. Okay, now I'm going to rotate this using the little arrows here on the side. And I'm going to go on the inside of the circle. See, inside of the circle, kind of choppy, but inside is smooth. I want choppy because I want it to go to 90. I'm going to have this rotated again on the inside so that it's facing up, because I want to have as much control of this as possible, and I have more control, I've noticed, when it's facing directly up, to the right, down, in the 4 directions. Now, if you notice, when I rotated this, half of this went under the printing area. I'm going to click the letter D to move it directly on top of this area. So letter D, and there it is. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And one last change I'm going to make is make that 1. I clicked on the center 1 and then the number. Click the number 1 and hit enter. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color to white, because I already want it to look like that, and I'm a little impatient. All right, have I done anything yet to change the shape at all? No, this is 20 by 10. I'm fine with that. Let's keep it that way. And I'm going to start experimenting now. I'm going to make this 20 and see what happens. Don't like that. Big mistake. Don't do that. Okay. So now I need, let's say, a rectangle. So let's go ahead and start with this one. I'm going to change this to 10. And 20 is fine for now, but I do want to change this one here to 1. I'm making them all 1 for now. Okay, I think that is aligned, but I'm not sure, so let's just try that again. By the way, I selected both of them by clicking and dragging this, the mouse, to make this rectangle, and whatever's inside the rectangle gets selected. Now I can align, and now that's aligned, and I don't want to click this one, because then it'll create that shape right there. You see how the triangle goes into the middle of the rectangle? Don't want that. Don't want that at all. But this one I do want, so I'm going to keep on clicking it. I don't know why. Oh, it's good now. All right, we're good. This one should be white as well, so let's make it white. And one thing I want to make sure that I'm actually, okay, I want to see that this is actually touching that one, because there have been times when it looks like it, and then when you get the final print, you realize, no, they actually weren't. Okay, so now the last part of this arrow. So let me do a little search here for what's available. The preview, there it is. So far I have this triangle. I have this part right here. I just need this, and to me that looks like half a circle. So that's what I'm going to be using, half a circle. Okay, so here we go, and now I need to rotate this. Which direction? Let me see. Let me move around here. Oh, this one no, wrong one. I wanted to stand up first. Oops. Again, when I go outside of this blue circle, it's very smooth, but I don't want it to be smooth. I want it to go in increments that I want, and ultimately 90. So that's standing straight up. Again, if you're noticing, it's below the printing area, so I'm going to click the letter D, move that up, And I want to look at this from above. So I'm going to drag a little bit, click the top. And then it's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to change that to 1 to make it easier to see. There we go. So, looks long, doesn't it? I think it looks long. Let me just change that to white so we can get a better idea. And this right here, let me zoom in here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This right here is the top of this curve, right? That's it right there. That's why this is at the center. So this has to be the center. I want this to align to that because that's the end of our circle, or the end of that rectangle. So I'm going to use the arrow keys, move them over, and if, you know, that's essentially the shape. I mean, let's compare. Let me bring out the old one. And where did the old one go? Oh, that's the one I want. So it has the triangle, it has the white part, and then I just think it's too long. So let's fix that. So instead of 20, let's make that 10. Ouch, that looks really low or really short, but again, we're just experimenting. I clicked on this and used the arrows to move it up. And I think it's a little bit off in terms of it being centered. Now, why is that important? Because if it's not, it's going to stick out a little bit in the final design. Now, this one actually looks good the way it is. Let's compare it one more time to the actual card. Preview. I think that's pretty spot on right there. So we're good with this. Oh, wait, it's already that. I just want to group it. It is now one piece. Amazing. Beautiful. I want to cry. However, I'm not. I'm going to stick it out here. Now, in the original card, you'll see that it's not just the white. There's a black surrounding it, a black shape. And some people are tempted to just duplicate this and then make it face the other way. But actually, you want to finish this part first before you duplicate and do everything else. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. Make that one black. And let's make it 0.5 so we can see it. Okay, now I'm going to let's go to my snap grid. I'm going to change it so I can have more precise movements. And move it up a little bit. It looks like I chose the other one, so let me go back down. Click on the white one and move that one up. And let me get this focused in the center of the screen. Now, I'm not sure if you know this, but I just moved the black one underneath the bed. Let me fix that by clicking the letter. Anybody know? Anybody know? D. Good job. All right, so I want an outline of this arrow, and this is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to hit Shift. So I'm clicking Shift, and I'm holding it down, and then I'm going to drag this over. It's creating the same exact shape, only longer. Now, how long? Honestly, I don't know, but what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that this and this I want it to be black on either side by like I don't know how much, but I want it to be black all the way around. I'm going to use my arrow key to move it over. And I want to make sure I'm looking at, oh, there you go. Okay, I think those lines are too thin. Again, let's go back to the original and see what it looks like. Okay, a lot thicker, so let's go back over here. I'm going to hit Shift again, Shift and hold. Move this over. And now I'm going to use my arrow keys to move this over. And so far, I'm okay with this part right here. Okay, I'm lying to you. I'm not okay. I want more. That looks better. But if you noticed, we don't have any black surrounding the top area. So here's what I'm going to do. All right, that actually looks good, but here's the problem. Not sure if you noticed, but the arrow here needs to have a lot more black shading. So let's go back to the reference, the actual card. See how there's an outline all the way around, but here it's thicker, and right behind the back of the arrow part, it's thicker. So this is the way I solve this problem. I'm going to make this one. I'm going to click this one and make sure it's 1. And I'm going to bring in another block. Make sure it is 1 and black. And 20 might be too much. So let's make it 10. Did I make that 10? 10. I think that's too much. Let's make it 5. Better. And it's not actually the length here. So actually, let me find out what the length is here. 24.6. So I'm going to make that one 24.6. And then what am I going to do? Anybody? Anybody? Correct. I'm going to align. That way I don't have to think about any of this size. Right there looks good. I have some here, some there. I think we're good to go here. I'm just going to group the black parts. Ooh, if I were to do this, I'm not sure if you noticed, that little space included the white one. I don't want to include the white one. I just want these two right here. And before I do, I want to check the heights on both of them. This one should be 1. That one should be 1. Now, by looking at it, it looks like it's perfect, but when you print, you don't want to see extra lines when you're printing. So I'm going to duplicate, I'm going to group this. It is now 1. That's awesome. All right, so we have that arrow. Now what we want to do is duplicate. I'm going to select everything again. Again, click and drag so everything in the square is selected, or the rectangle is selected. I'm going to duplicate it. Now I'm going to return, or click that arrow, and then I'm going to rotate till I get to 190. I'm going to drag this over here. And again, I'm just going to put this right here until I look at the reference picture, because to me that looks fine, but I want to make sure it actually is fine. Okay, so I'm going to do, what am I going to do? Oh, going to get the original picture. There it is. All right, so does it look like it? No, there's something off. Have you noticed it? Do you see something different? This top part looks good, right? But over here, the black space is bigger at the bottom of the arrow. So I need to change something. This is always why you look at the reference picture before you're considered done. I'm going to move it over a little bit. And I think we're good there. Now I think it looks a lot more like the reference picture. So let me just click tab. And I think we're good with that. All right. So now for what I want to do is actually establish this card. But at this point, I think we're safe grouping these. So I'm going to select this. And I'm going to group. Now, if you notice, it should turn all one color. To fix that, you want to click on the color and multicolor, and it keeps the original colors. Now, when you print, obviously, it's going to be one color. But it's nice to work with the colors that you worked with originally. So let's keep on going. Let's turn this one 45 degrees. Okay, so you can see it's already looking like that. And let's move this over here, because now I want to make the card. Now, most people would think, oh, I'm going to make this into a card. Yay. No, wrong. How dare you even think that? Because the corners are rounded, and this shape right here, the corners are not rounded. They are perfectly square. Bad. I mean, it's okay, but in the search area over here, we can do better. Clicking the word or typing in the word rounded, there it is. This is the one we actually want. So we click here, and it doesn't look too promising until we change this to 1. Okay, let's make it white. Now I did a search online, and it turns out the dimensions for the actual cards are 89 millimeters by 56. That is the actual dimension of the card. Also, we can change the corners. So if I click over here, the corner is going to make it look like an oval, honestly. In fact, let's go ahead and duplicate this because we're going to use that later. Okay, so we don't want that. We actually want the number 1 right there. I clicked on the wrong one. Actually, let's just use that. And let's bring this oval over here. So we have that, right? So, and the corners, they're rounded. That's what we want. Now I'm going to duplicate this one and then make it green. Anybody know why? Anybody know why? Because that is what we're going to be using for the inside. So let's make that 50 by 84. And let's center these. So again, I selected both of them by doing this, selecting both, align. So click here, click there. Now you can't really tell because they're both the same height. So Tinkercad makes this weird looking thing here. So I'm going to click on the center one. I'm going to make it, instead of 1, I'm going to make it 1.5. There. Now you can see that, right? Now the difference is not that much, but I'm going to zoom in here. Okay. So there it is. You can see it slightly. The green part is raised a little. Okay. So this one right here, the height is 2.10. However, if I click on the black one, also 2.10, I guess I grouped those two. Let's see what happens when I move it to the center. The black one goes away. So I'm going to change the dimensions. I'm going to hit shift and drag until I get about the size that I want. And when I hit shift, it actually shrinks it too. So let me just make sure it's like, I don't know, I'm going to put 3 for right now so I can see it better. But if you noticed at 3, you can't see the black part. So 4, better. What about 5? That's going to be super thick. What I'm going to do later is actually, I'll just do it now. I'm going to ungroup this. I'm going to make the white parts. Let's try 3. But this is technically 3, but it's not touching the bed. So I'm going to click the letter. What letter should I click? The letter D. So there it is. You can see some of the black and you can see some of the white, and we are good so far. I'm going to focus on this other one here, honestly. Do you remember the numbers? Because I don't. I think it's 50 by 80. And of course, let's just make this 1 for right now. Actually, let's make it 2. I remember, let's change that to white. Ugh, the sides. For me, whenever I use the oval, I always want to get rid of these sides. So up to you, but I like it to be smooth. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this one. And then I'm going to shrink it a little bit. I'm hitting the shift key, by the way, shift and hold. Okay, so now I'm going to make it taller. And honestly, this number right here doesn't matter. It could be any number as long as it, touches the bottom and it goes through here. Now, honestly, I think it's better if it's just closer here. That way I can see. I'm going to click the top so I can see this and zoom in. I'm going to align. Do you see how I selected those two again? I'm going to align this center and that center, and let's see what we get. I don't like that. I don't. So I'm going to make this one smaller. I'm going to click shift and hold, and I'm going to align it again. This one's slightly better. All right, so let's go with this. I'm going to select both of them using this red rectangle. I'm going to group them, and that's good enough for now. I'm going to rotate this to 45. Honestly, I don't think 45 is the actual angle. And now I need to shrink it. And you know what? Let's get the original over here. Let's see if I still have it up. There it is. And I'm going to zoom out. Now, when we do a side-by-side comparison, this one looks like it's not 45. This one is 45 degrees. So I am going to change this a little bit. And instead of going here where, so fine. So I'm going to click here so I can make sure I click this. And I'm going to rotate it, not using the inside of the circle. I want to go on the outside of the circle. So I'm going to go over here. And I just want it to be, let's try that. And I'm going to shrink it just so that it fits within the little area here. I'm going to drag it over here. And then I'm going to shrink it, or again, yeah, shift, hold, and shrink this a little bit more. It's getting a little bit hard to control here. So let's zoom in on this part right there. Now this is barely sticking up because when I hit shift and then I try to shrink this thing, it's actually shrinking the depth as well. So I'm going to click that as 2. Again, this outer ring is now 2, in case you didn't see that. And I don't like how it's sticking out here. So one more time. I think that's good enough. Let's compare it to the original again. There we are. And there it is. Wow. Now, in case you didn't see it, it is longer. So I'm going to make this longer and then just rotate it some more. I know this is not, it's a little bit of experiment. And this is actually what I do whenever I'm designing something. I try it and then I try something else until I like it. That is the way most things are when you're working with, I don't know, you're trying to create something. That's part of the process. Okay, I actually like this, but let's see what the original looks like. That is not bad. Maybe a little bit longer, but I like it. By the way, this is what I'm looking at right here so that you can see how I'm comparing. This looks really thick and then it looks thin right here. This has the same thing, but not to the same amount. So let's go ahead and do a little bit more. Shift and hold, drag this up, and then I'm going to rotate doing that. Oh, on the outside. All right, so now I'm going to move this over, down. If you haven't noticed, it's going outside of the card here, so I'm going to have to shrink it a little bit. So I'm going to hold the shift button and then shrink it. And now move it up a little bit. I think we are good to go on that part. Now what's left over? The little tiny reverse right there and right there. Okay, so the shape, this, I'm looking at the space to determine how far it should be. So a little bit there, a little bit there. All right, so I'm going to duplicate this. Actually, let's zoom in here so we can make sure we select all of these. And this one. Does that include? Okay, and that one right there. Whoa. I don't know if I'm selecting everything. So let me see what happens when I select this and this. I'm lost. Okay, let's try it again. That one selects that and that. I feel like it's selecting both of them for some reason. I know what I'll do. I'm going to select this too. Why is it doing that? Interesting. All right, so I'll do this. I'm going to drag those down. And then I'm going to select just the parts that I want, which is right there. I'm going to group it. I don't have to worry about this anymore. What? Change the colors back to multiple. Okay, we're good now. Now here's the best part about this. I can just select these down here and click the letter D, and they're back the way they were. And I'm back to clicking on this, duplicate, drag it over here, and I'm going to minimize this. Shift, minimize. Of course, I'm going to make this taller because I need to be able to see it too. Let's go with 3. There it is. And this is too close up here. I'm going to zoom in over here so I can see. I'm going to use my arrow keys to move this over little by little. All right, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to hit that button there. Where did that go? Why did it get smaller? Don't like that. I'm going to hit duplicate. Now I made an exact copy. I'm going to drag it over here. And I think we are done. We are done. So now you have a weapon against evil and all the evil forces that happen at your school. Although, I'm not sure why this is sticking out, but I am pretty sure you can print this. One thing I know some students like to wear this around their IDs, so I'm going to show you what I would do here. I would have put 1, and then actually, no, I wouldn't. I would use this one here, rotate it 90, and rotate it again 90. Make that 1, and it's under the bed in case you didn't notice. I'm going to click the letter D, and also I would duplicate this one, make it a whole, and shrink it, but at the same time make it still 1, drag it. Actually, I'm just going to align the two. It makes it so much easier. I am so glad I found that one when I did. Actually, I want that one to be a little bit lower, so I'm going to click over here and move it down. And in case you don't know what I'm doing, I'm creating a little holder. And of course we want this to be white, but there it is. Now I just want to make sure it is attached correctly. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'll click D just to make sure we're all good there. Now sometimes when you're printing, you're not really 100% sure if this is going to print on the printing bed, so you can just select everything. Click the letter D, and now you know everything is flat on the bed here. And we are done. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your enemies that you have a new weapon. And it's brought to you by Mr. Amparo and Tinkercad. Have a great day.